All right, good evening, everybody. Today is Wednesday, January 8th. The time is 6:30 p.m., and I'm calling this meeting of the Macomb Township Board of Trustees to order, and we will now say the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Posey is absent tonight, so Deputy Clerk Cardamom will be taking on the clerk duties. Mr. Cardamom, will you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Trustee Cusimano.
Here.
Trustee Lucido.
Here.
Trustee Oliver.
Here.
Trustee Papa.
Here.
Treasurer Drollet.
Here.
Clerk Posey is not present. Supervisor Viviano.
Here. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections, Mr. Cardamom?
Yes, we do have one addition to the consent agenda. That's item 7A under the Parks and Recreation Department, and that is a request to approve pay certificate number 2 for the Waldenburg Park Bridge Project.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve the agenda with the proposed addition.
Support?
Any discussion? Motion by Treasurer Drollet, supported by Trustee Lucido, to approve the agenda as corrected. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to approval of the bills. Is there a motion to approve the bill run?
So move.
Support.
Any questions or discussion on the bill run? Motion by Treasurer Drollet, supported by Trustee Papa, to approve the bills. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to approval of the previous meeting's minutes from December 18th. Is there a motion to approve?
Trustee Kuzma makes the motion to approve the minutes.
Support.
Any questions or discussion on the previous meeting's minutes? Motion by Trustee Kuzmano, supported by Trustee Oliver, to approve the previous meeting's minutes. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. All right, this will take us to our first public comment opportunity for the evening. If you have a public comment on an agenda item, you may use the microphone on the right-hand side of the room. And I don't see anybody present making a move, so we're going to move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move the consent agenda in its entirety.
Support?
Is there any discussion or questions on any of the consent items? Hearing none. Motion by Treasurer Drollet, supported by Trustee Lucido, to approve the consent agenda. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. All right, this will take us to our new business. First item is for planning and zoning, and Mr. Van Tiffelen, you're taking care of Mr. Box?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the Denowith Garden Hiring Center event permit, or for special event permit, parcel 0819400009?
So moved.
Support.
Is that you, Pete?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Van Tiffelen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, board members, for the past 3 years, Denowith Garden Center has had this special event before the Township Board. This is essentially a two-month attempt for them to hire employees for the summer. This obviously exceeds the 5 days that the ordinance allows for special events, so we've been having to bring this to the Township Board for approval. Over the past couple of years, we have not had any issues. They've actually been pretty good to deal with. They're very proactive, so we are comfortable recommending approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Van Tiffelen. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. Motion by Trustee Lucido, supported by Trustee Oliver, to approve the special event for Denowith Garden Center hiring event, permanent parcel 0819400009. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is a request to approve the purchase of 47 laptops from CDWG in the amount of $38,079.87.
So moved. Support.
Mr. Lepari.
Good evening, board members. The IT department is requesting authorization to purchase 47 laptops from CDWG for $38,079.87. These laptops will be used in the elections department for electronic poll books and for general election use. The clerk's office was awarded a grant that will reimburse the township for the cost of these laptops. The old election laptops will be repurposed and will be used to create a training lab, which is needed to train 70-plus election inspectors. The township is part of the MIDeal purchasing program and utilizes a cooperative contract with CDWG. I've included the confirmation of process memo from the purchasing department. I can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
Yeah, with those, how early would they be utilized? You know, with, I didn't know if, with any election training, is there any election training being planned for 2025 or?
I'm not aware when it's planned, but I think they want to get the lab set up and ready, so we want to get the new ones in, get the new ones set up.
I think the deputy clerk could maybe weigh in. There's no election until
Yeah,
2026.
no, there are no regularly scheduled elections in 2025, but there always is the possibility of a special election. But absent a special election in 2025, we would deploy these laptops for the first time. Again, if there are no special elections between now and the August primary in 2026, they would be deployed at that time.
Okay. Thank you. So if there's no more questions, motion by trustee Papa, supported by trustee Oliver to approve the purchase of 47 laptops from CDWG, the amount of $38,079.87. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Moving on to item 10, we're looking for approval for a resolution for the financial commitment to the Town Square Project Grant.
Trustee Kuzma makes the motion. Support.
Treasurer Drollet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The township's in the process of applying for a grant from the State of Michigan, Michigan Economic Development Corporation for the purpose of making improvements to the town square, which is the lawn area right in front of Town Hall, you know, between us, the library, the rec center, and Old Town Hall. We're in the process of preparing that grant application. However, one of the requirements of the application is demonstrated commitment on the side of the applicant, which in this case would be the township, to pay the 50% requirement if we're awarded the grant. Because we don't know what the final cost would be of the project for another probably week or so as we're meeting with engineers, we don't have a cost estimate at the moment. So this resolution would authorize us or approve up to $1 million, which I don't think that would be in the very high end, if we receive the grant, if we receive the matching funds from the state of Michigan. Other than that, there's no financial commitment if we don't receive the grant.
Thank you, Treasurer Drollet. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, motion by trustee Kuzmano, supported by trustee Oliver to approve the resolution for the financial commitment to the Town Hall Square Project Grant. Mr. Carter, we call the roll.
Trustee Kuzmano?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Trustee Lucido?
Yes.
Trustee Papa?
Yes.
Treasurer Drollet?
Yes.
Supervisor Viviano?
Yes, that resolution is adopted. And our last item of the evening is a request to award the publishing contract to Drive Creative Services.
So move.
Support?
Is that your motion?
Yes, that was my motion.
Good, sometimes you can't tell. So as I outlined in the board packet in the memo, the Parks and Rec Department and the Supervisor's Office have jointly been exploring revisiting the way we communicate some of our, the information we share with the residents. Currently, we have a publication called the Reach Catalog, which is a Parks and Rec publication that is sent out to every household in the township, and then there's a couple thousand additional copies printed to be handed out. Under the current proposal from this vendor, what we were looking for is a partner to allow us to more than double our pages of content, where Town Hall would take on 8 to 10 content pages, so we could share township news, notes, goings-on, and relevant information that the residents have often sought from us. As part of this program, there'll be a revenue share where the vendor will be selling ad space in the catalog, and we hope that over time, that we ultimately will be paying less per issue than we are paying now. We don't believe that will be the case out of the gate. We think we'll be paying a little bit more, but we will also be getting more for our value. One of the things my staff provided me, we did a communications survey earlier this year. When asked, how are you most interested in, are you interested in getting information in the mail? 66% of the respondents answered yes. It is still the most popular way, at least broadly speaking, to send information. And we think we can be much more relevant and much more informative through the pages of a magazine. So with that, I will take any questions.
Mr. Chair, if I may. The REACH catalog has been going out how many times a year?
3 times a year.
Three
And
times
this
a
will
year?
also go out 3 times a year.
Okay, it'll also go 3 times. And will the same information that's been put together in the REACH catalog be included in the publication moving forward? Parks and Rec.
It won't be a mirror image. We hope to update and amend the way we are advertising our Parks and Rec services and our programs. But they will get around 8 pages of information, 8 to 10 pages in the same magazine to promote classes at the rec center, our free events, and everything else that we promote through the REACH catalog.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
As this will be bringing in ad revenue, will we have the ability to restrict certain types of advertising, whether it's political or cannabis stores? Or
That is correct. That is a conversation that we've had with the vendor. Township will retain veto rights of certain, those specific, call them the sin businesses. We will not allow to advertise in the catalog.
Did they give you a number on break-even pages, 5 pages, 2 pages?
Our vendor is here. You want to step up to the microphone? Would you go ahead and introduce yourself while you're up there?
Absolutely. My name's Scott Chambers with Drive Creative Services. I own and operate the publications and the company as an overall. And what was the question again?
So at what point there'll be a break even, which I was going to respond, it's really hard to tell because a lot of it's going to depend on how successful you are with ads.
Correct.
And then, how many issues we continue to have produced.
Yeah, and with the proposal that was put together, not only is it advertising space that's taken out within the section of the publication that's called the Community Resource Guide, so that is separate from everything that Macomb Township would supply. We don't want to have ads directly within because it could send the wrong message out of the township saying, yes, do business with this group. So there's certain ways that we put these things together to show separation from church and state in that regard. With that being said, all of the ads that are placed within the publication would go towards the offsetting of the cost, the defrayment of cost. And then we also have a digital platform that we just launched where those sales would also go towards offsetting of the print. So to say a break-even point the goal would always be to get it where it costs the township zero. I believe on the proposal that was put together within the 5th year, we had it where it'd be about $8,000 per
Yeah,
publication.
8 to
if I'm not
10,000
mistaken.
per issue.
Yeah.
Again, that's all speculative based on their success in ad. But it's formatted in a way, structured in a way that their effort is a win-win. So if they sell more ads, they make more revenue, we make more revenue. Now, there were 2 other bidders. One of them was Our Magazine. They were much more expensive. It was a much more simplistic approach. They only offered like a 10% revenue share. The other one was a company out of Jackson. The company out of Jackson provided a structure that didn't make any sense because they actually would lose money the more successful they were. So I think they misunderstood the RFP. They didn't propose something that we thought was feasible. They're solely based in Jackson. They had no local salespeople. Drive Creative has a team of people locally who can sell in the area. They're already selling in the area in our neighboring communities. Ultimately, we just thought it was a better fit.
One last question.
Yes.
Do you have local communities around us that use your service?
Yes, we work with Chesterfield Township, we work with Mount Clemens, we work with Centerline, so a little bit further south in the county, and we work with Harper Woods as well. My background was newspapers, so I was second generation, worked at the Macomb Daily, the Oakland Press, ran the Grosse Pointe News, so my background is community and wanting to see communities thrive, so there is definitely a desire with what we're doing. At least I'd like to think there is, with those efforts that are there. So I'm hoping we're as well connected as we should be. Two of my sales reps actually live in Macomb Township, and I'm a former Macomb Township resident myself. So the hope is, with the success we've had in Chesterfield specifically, knowing that we produced 23,000 for them, to have 38,000 being produced for Macomb Township, and not only that, the neighboring communities as well with your Shelbys, Sterling Heights, Clinton Township, there's going to be crossover sales in print, and on the digital side, any person or business, I should say, that buys on the digital side, it does have to be a Macomb Township business address for those monies to go back towards Macomb Township with the publication. But any advertiser, they could be out in Novi, the township would still get credit for that within the print publication itself, if that makes sense.
Good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Any other questions?
Chair, I do have a question. Thank you for being here tonight. You mentioned that you work with Chesterfield Township. I've seen the publication for that. How did that work timeline-wise before it began to see significant ad revenue offset the cost for the township?
That one was unique because they didn't put it in front of their board. They had asked us to do it at a cost that was less than having to go in front to get approval. And I cringed about that initially because I knew we would eat money doing that. And Frank is aware of that, Mr. Supervisor Viviano, I'm sorry. But knowing that's the case, we don't do revenue share with them.
Oh.
Okay, but it did cost us money, the first edition, but I also knew it was an investment with what was coming down the road. They won't have the benefit in the end that Macomb Township will, because they pay for their postage, they pay for the amount that they can pay without going in front of the board to do so, if that makes sense.
They don't get any revenue from ad sales in Chesterfield?
Nope, but that was a choice they made.
What about Mount Clemens?
Now, Mount Clemens, yes, that's a great example. Mount Clemens themselves, they will probably never be at a break-even point because 49% of the city itself, it's not tax-based, so you've got a lot of churches and things of that nature, municipality, buildings, and what do you call it, courts and things of that nature. So they do struggle as a city. As far as the businesses themselves, not the municipality, but the cities themselves, or the businesses within the city. So we have grown that. Their share has been good. They share it with the city and the library. So back to the point about the township and Parks and Rec sharing, that has helped them out tremendously as far as their cost savings to get it out, because it's being split up to two entities. I can say, let's see, the last publication we did for Chesterfield, we pulled in $24,000 of ad revenue. Mount Clemens, we vary right around 15 to 16,000.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
When these go out, will they go out to all residents, like even the mobile home communities and that?
All residents and businesses,
And business, okay.
full saturation in 48044 and 48042.
And I think we projected to, print an additional 3,000 copies for internal use, hand out at the rec center.
That's correct. Yeah, 35,000 for the mailing and additional 3,000 for in-house.
Would the supervisor's office be in charge of like reviewing everything before?
Yeah, it's all
something-
communications, so Grace, my office, this is gonna become her project. She'll be responsible for the content that Town Hall produces, and then Sal with Maria as his communications person, she'll be producing the catalog. And we'll be working with their layout team, and some of that is yet to be determined. The proposal does include layout services that they can provide at an option. but I'm not sure we're going to take them up on that. We may give them the final product and have them just print it. Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I got a question.
Sure.
I mentioned it before the meeting started, that the other bidders were not included in the board packet. You've explained that, but is there a reason why there was a failure to include those for purposes of completeness?
I think that was just an oversight. It was brought to my attention a few days ago, it might have even been on Friday. I thought that the purchasing specialist had contacted the clerk's office to add that to the packet, but that might have just not, that might have fell through the cracks and not happened.
It doesn't have any effect on my vote because I think it's a positive for the township. Also, I understand that there's going to be an exit clause that allows the township to, if it's not working for us, to pull back.
Yeah, and that's something we spoke about with the vendor, that there's no long-term commitment. If financially this ends up not being a feasible option, we'll terminate the arrangement and go back to printing our own catalog.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Mr. Chair, just one follow-up question to trustee Kuzmanos. Is there a time, is there a length of term for the contract?
I haven't actually reviewed the RFP asked for some projections over years, but the
5
contract
years,
was it
yeah.
5 years?
Yeah.
He just sent it to us this morning, which we were waiting till we voted today before I forwarded it to council for review. So it'll be, 5 years under your current financial arrangements.
Okay.
I would just suggest that if there's a motion to approve, that'd be subject to this township attorney review.
Yep. Sure.
Who made the original motion? Was that myself? Yeah, I believe it
yes.
was. So I'd like to, if possible, amend my motion to state that subject to attorney review and subject to attorney review.
Okay. And trustee Lucido, you,
Agreed.
okay. Any other questions?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So if there's no more questions, there's a motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Lucido, subject to Township Council's review of the contract to award the publishing contract to Drive Creative Services. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. All right, this takes us to our second public comment. This would be for non-agenda items. Anyone wishes to make public comment may use the microphone on the right-hand side of the room. I don't see anybody, so we're going to move on to board comments. Trustee Lucido.
Nothing for me other than Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you, Trustee Lucido. Trustee Papa.
Same here. Happy New Year, everyone. No comments.
Thank you, Trustee Papa. Trustee Oliver.
Same thing. Happy New Year. Stay warm.
Trustee Oliver. Trustee Kuzmano.
Just a shout out that the electronic tallying technology worked flawlessly, so hopefully we continue to have good luck in 2025 in that regard. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Trustee Kuzmano. Treasurer Gillette.
No comment.
That leaves me. The only thing I really have to say is, I know it's a couple weeks away, but just before our next meeting on Monday, January 20th, Township Hall will be closed for Martin Luther King Day, but we will reopen on Tuesday morning, January 21st. And I hope everyone enjoyed the Lions game. It was great. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Support.
Any questions or discussion? Motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Lucido to adjourn the meeting. Members, please vote.
Ta-da. No glitch.
Motion passes unanimously. This meeting is adjourned.